Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, I'm going to coach you through literally the biggest hurdle every single founder faces, capitalizing your vision. As an angel investor who evaluates pitches on a daily basis, I can tell you right now that picking the wrong capital path will kill your startup just as fast as a bad product. It is absolutely crucial to get this right.
So picture this. You've got an absolutely amazing business idea. You know people need it, and you know for a fact it can make money. But you inevitably hit a wall. You simply don't have the cash for product development or buying equipment, launching those marketing campaigns, or hiring a rockstar team. So where do successful entrepreneurs actually find the money to turn that initial spark into a real, breathing business? Well, today, we're going to solve this exact puzzle by breaking down your options and looking at the strict realities of what it actually costs to fund your dream. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering the cost of total control, community and crowd capital, the debt equation, equity for rapid growth, accelerators and grants, and finally, choosing your funding path. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, the cost of total control. This is all about bootstrapping and self-funding. When you use your own savings, your side income, or maybe profits from another project to self-fund your business, you're doing what we call bootstrapping, and the perks are great. Bootstrapping means you keep 100% of the pie, you make every single decision, and you carry zero debt. If you're building a lean software tool, honestly, this is often the ideal path. But if you're building hardware, which requires heavy upfront capital, you're taking on a massive burden. The true cost of total control is accepting much slower growth and carrying the entire financial risk entirely on your own shoulders. Moving right along to Section 2, community and crowd capital. Let's talk about friends, family, and the crowd. If your personal savings aren't quite enough, you might naturally look to your friends and family. They're often willing to support you long before traditional banks or professional investors will even take a meeting with you. But as an investor, I need to tell you, messy friend and family cap tables are a massive red flag for us later on. If you go this route, you have to follow a really strict transparency checklist. Be painfully honest about the risks, map out exactly how their money will be used, and please put every single agreement in writing. It's just absolutely critical for preserving your closest relationships and keeping your business investable down the road. Alternatively, we have crowdfunding. This is an incredible tool, particularly for consumer hardware startups looking to validate demand before they even start manufacturing. The pros are fantastic, right? You build an early audience of super adopters and you get to keep your ownership. But there's a serious catch. It requires incredibly heavy marketing work. If you fail publicly, or worse, you succeed but then can't actually deliver on your promises to hundreds of expectant backers, it can literally cripple your brand reputation right out of the gate. All right, Section 3, the debt equation. Let's talk bank loans. So here is the ultimate founder debate: equity dilution versus debt repayment. Bank loans are great because they allow you to access substantial funding for real expansion, all while keeping your precious equity. But the challenges are pretty steep. You see, unlike an angel investor who shares your risk and loses money if you fail, a bank demands its pound of flesh every single month, no matter what. Missing payments introduces this ticking clock that can just suffocate a new business, creating immediate, intense financial pressure. But if you have predictable, steady revenue, debt is actually a brilliant, non-dilutive tool. Next up is Section 4, equity for rapid growth. This is the world of angels and VC. Think about the ownership split for a second. When you pitch someone like me, an angel investor, you are voluntarily choosing to dilute your ownership. But remember, you're not just buying cash. You're trading that slice of equity for my industry experience, my vital network connections, and the strategic business advice you need to scale. You're essentially trading equity for a partner who has a deeply vested interest in seeing you succeed. Now, venture capital, that is rocket fuel. But you really got to observe the strings attached to that rocket. Taking VC money forces a massive emotional transition. You go from being this autonomous, independent founder to a CEO who has to answer to a board. You secure transformative capital and top-tier strategic support for sure, but the pressure for rapid, exponential growth is just relentless. Before you take VC money, you need to ensure your startup is truly built for hyperscale, not just a lifestyle business. It is the ultimate trade-off. You're trading control for market dominance. Moving to Section 5, accelerators and grants. These are some very unique funding paths. Accelerators and incubators offer incredible expert guidance, unmatched networking opportunities, and potential early investment. The trade-off here is that participation generally requires you to hand over a small percentage of your equity right at the start. You are essentially paying for a fast-track education with a piece of your business. Just remember, when you're using these programs to pitch to their investor networks, you absolutely must pitch a massive vision while still remaining fiercely realistic about your near-term capital requirements. Then we have grants. Grants from governments or foundations can feel like a maze, but they are incredibly strategic, especially for deep tech or biotech startups that need early research and development funds. This non-dilutive capital is essentially free money. It lets you prove your technology before an investor ever even looks at your cap table. But the trade-off? The massive, massive time investment required to navigate highly competitive applications and some really rigid bureaucratic requirements.
Finally, Section 6, choosing your funding path. Let's figure out your strategy. If we map all this out, you start to see the real trade-offs. Bootstrapping and grants protect your ownership and keep you totally in control of your destiny. On the flip side, venture capital maximizes your capital and growth speed, but dramatically spikes your pressure and dilutes your control. Debt, like bank loans, kind of sits right in the middle, preserving your ownership but introducing strict repayment pressure. Ultimately, you have to decide which camp you and your business naturally belong in.
So, use this 4-step decision guide. First, evaluate your current business stage. Second, clearly define your exact growth goals. Third, assess your risk tolerance. And crucially, you need to assess your mental health. Are you genuinely prepared to lose sleep over debt or lose autonomy to a board? Decide exactly what you're willing to surrender before you take a single dollar. Walking through these steps is going to point you toward the right strategy for both your personal well-being and your business. At the end of the day, there is no universally right answer, only the right answer for you. Think about it. A bootstrapped founder might exit for $10 million and keep every single penny, while a VC-backed founder might build a billion-dollar unicorn but only end up owning 5% of it. The right funding doesn't just start a business, it permanently shapes the company you build tomorrow. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Are you building a business to be the undisputed ruler of a small island, or are you willing to become a minor shareholder in a global empire? Choose wisely, and thank you so much for joining me in this explainer.